All right. Welcome to another episode of Bullheaded, episode 22. I'm your host, Sean Tyson, as usual, here with P. Bush and Zoo. What's up, guys?
Doing well, man.
AK, baby.
Let's
AK
go.
got his guy. He got his guy. I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't care if it's a reach. I like the upside, man. I like the upside. I was happy we didn't get OB Toppin. I'm happy we didn't get
Send him to the Knicks.
Halliburton. Like, I wanted a stud, man. And he looks like a Jaylen Brown. So I'm excited. The Bulls got their guy. And I don't know. There's always a sleeper in the draft. Hopefully, this is the sleeper that we got.
He supposedly is the main pick for sleeper this year, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, as you guys can see, a lot of NBA draft talk is going to be talked on this episode. As the draft was yesterday, a lot of great picks were made. We're going to get into who we think is the best pick. Now, there was a lot of picks. I think a lot of people would say the top three was chalk. I mean, it was with Edwards, Ball, and Wiseman. But I'm going to get the guys' opinion on who they think was the best pick in the draft, first or second round. And P. Bush, I'm going to start with you, man.
Dude, this is tough. I mean, like you said, Sean, kind of a chalk early, but I honestly think that the best value pick in this draft was LaMelo Ball. I think that a lot of people, not everybody, had him possibly going to the Timberwolves. I think this is actually one of the first drafts where a lot of people were iffy on who was going where. There really wasn't, a dead set guy. A lot of people had Anthony Edwards. LaMelo Ball is arguably the most talented guy, raw talent. Anthony Edwards obviously up there as well. Wiseman, I was a little bit surprised, but he fits with the Warriors. But I think that Michael Jordan got an absolute steal at number 3 in LaMelo Ball, man. This guy's a 6'7" point guard. He's unreal handles, great passing ability. He's already got some professional experience under his belt. And him going 3 you could just see the big smile on Jordan's face, man. He knew he got his guy. Maybe Jordan will actually break the curse of horrible drafting in Charlotte. We got the Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and the Cody Zellers of the world, man. I think LaMelo, Charlotte needs a little bit of excitement. That there really weren't drawing that many fans. I mean, obviously it is a big franchise there, but they've been struggling, man, and they lost their marquee guy in Kemba Walker to the Celtics. I think they just needed a little bit of excitement there. They had 2 guys there in Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham, who are, just around 6'1", kind of a small ball team. Yeah. If they get a 6'7" point guard in there, man, or use them as a combo guard, they can switch up who's bringing the ball up. A lot of teams may have issues with a 3-guard lineup, especially with a guy who's 6'7" and a lot quicker than a 6'7" up guys throughout the league. This guy's going to be interesting. LaMelo will be an interesting character. Let's hope he can step it up in the leadership aspect, because that Charlotte team has 0 leadership at this moment. But I think at number 3, he may have been the biggest steal. I think that Obi Toppin at the Knicks as well could be a little bit of a steal. They were looking for a highlight reel type of guy to bring some fans into MSG. That's what the Knicks are all about. But they needed a big man, high flyer to pair with RJ Barrett. But I still think that LaMelo was the best value pick and honestly, quote unquote, somewhat of a steal in this draft.
Okay, I like LaMelo. Congrats to LeVar. He got 2 sons in the NBA, number 2 and number 3. That is just impressive.
First time.
Yeah, that's crazy having 2 brothers, top 3 picks, drafted by Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. So that's pretty impressive. But I'm going with the AK pick, baby.
No.
Patrick Williams. I am biased. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm going with that pick. Do you know why? Because the sleeper pick, man. I'm looking at the sleeper picks of this year. What is the NBA all about? Wing players. I love my wing players. And you know what we got? We got a man that's 6'8", 225, built like a bull, 19 years young. Are you kidding me? 19 years young, man. 19 years young, 6'8", 225. This guy is unbelievable. Like, physical specimen. So you got the physical attributes, right? That's why they want him. And his skill base, right? Man, this guy played a point guard in high school. I like that. That means he had to be a ball handler. He had to be able to initiate offense. You need to be a decent shooter. So, like, I would say the fundamental skills of basketball, you learn all that from being a point guard. So he has a background in that. He's not no big man that just knows how to play in the post and do nothing, man. So it's all about having guard skills. So he's a 6'8" guy with guard skills. Let's talk about shooting. 32% from 3, not so good. But you see that free throw. He's an 84% free throw shooter. He has good form. It's a form that you can work with. Like LaMelo Ball, they got chicken wings out there, man. He's got fundamental forms that you could work on. We've seen it with all these dynamic wings. OG Anunoby, Kawhi Leonard, Jaylen Brown, like all these types of athletic freaks that are wings with like so jump shots that come into the league. They work on it, and they say this guy's got work ethic, man. You saw this guy.
Yep.
You see him on ESPN. He was like selling flowers to people, man. He was selling flowers to them. Yeah, dude, this guy's a hustler, man. And now he's getting an NBA paycheck, and he's gonna spend less time selling flowers and more time working on that jump shot. And hopefully he develops in that 3-and-D guy, so we could get rid of Otto Porter after that dude re-signed for $28 million to pick up that player option. Congrats to that dude, but screw him. He sucks. So I'm ready to move on. Patrick Williams, it fits with the Bulls. I think he's the guy that fits, and he's the best player available based on my criteria of wing players just have a higher impact on the game of basketball in this era right now.
Yeah. I think, first of all, great pick by AK. I think that he, in his press conference after, he was talking about how, people were trying to press him. Were you trying to trade up? Blah, blah, blah. He said that we didn't even think about it. But I honestly think that he was trying to trade down because he thought Patrick Williams would be there at number 7, number 8. But look, after the top 3 in this draft, it was pretty open. So nobody wanted to trade up to the number 4 spot because there really wasn't one guy that was going to be available that everybody wanted to get. But I love the ballsy pick, man, in Patrick Williams. I think he's going to end up being, a lot of people saying massive upside is Kawhi. I don't think he'll be there. I do think he's kind of a project at this point. He's the youngest American player in the draft. I think that was a huge risk that AK was willing to take that no other Bulls GM basketball operations guy would have ever taken at number 4.
Guaranteed, Obi Top.
Exactly. And that was a lot of mock drafts, had Obi Top and going to the Bulls, but that made no sense with Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter in there. Unless they're trying to get rid of Cristiano Felicio at some point, making $8-9 million a year. That man's ass. But look, I think Williams is huge. The Bulls have been missing a guy like a Luol Deng for years, man. They lost Luol Deng, 5-6 years ago. That was crucial to the team, man. He was a defensive stud on a team that now has zero defensive ability, unless you want to count Ryan Arcidiacono, who's the backup to the backup point guard. So they really need a 3-and-D guy. I agree with you, Zoo. I think that he could be the biggest value pick, but I think he will have a longer return on investment than like a LaMelo Ball or an Anthony Edwards. But the Bulls, they had faith in being able to stick with him, man. And I think that that's something that the new Bulls management is willing to take on that has not been the case in past years. But I think I do got to shout out another major pick, man. The Sacramento Kings getting Tyrese Halliburton at 12, man. That was a steal.
He dropped.
He was supposedly supposed to go to the Hawks. A lot of people had him going number 6 to the Hawks. People just kept passing up on him. This guy is he's a baller, man. He's a solid guard. The Kings kind of need that to pair with Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley. The Kings are kind of a blank slate at this point. They traded Bogdan to Milwaukee.
He got canceled.
But they're trying to make moves. But I don't know, man. I agree with you, Zoo. Patrick Williams is a ballsy pick, but at the same time, LaMelo is probably going to be the quickest ROI when it comes to an NBA team that's looking to make a change real quick.
Yeah. Also, another pick. Deni Avdija. I'm just looking at this guy. Okay, he fell a little.
He did.
Consensus, like people really liked him for some reason. Like Deni Avdija on the Washington. I think that's pretty interesting. But man, you talking about Obi Toppin, right? Obi Toppin, power forward for the New York Knicks, future power forward. New York Knicks surprisingly had a good draft. Did you see them?
Yeah.
They had a late first. They had a late first and a late second. They traded off, and then they flipped those picks again, and they got a better ROI on the return. It was like an arbitrage between 2 picks. Like that was actually pretty. Yeah, that was pretty smart of Knicks management. It's something I haven't seen them do in ever.
Indian man.
Yeah, they're like getting stuff done. So I was impressed with the Knicks. Like maybe Obi Toppin, like hometown kid from Brooklyn, New York, becomes a future stud out there. But man, Patrick Williams. I'm so excited, man. FSU, let's go, baby. Let's represent, man. I don't think the Bulls ever drafted a guy, man, from FSU, man. We're always drafting Duke guys and big school players. We're getting a guy. We're getting a guy. Yeah, we're getting a young kid, and he just looks like a bull, man. He just looks like a bull.
He looks like he acts like a bull. He's very composed, very mature for his age. I was very pleasantly surprised with his interview, and I'm sure that AK, our tourist man, I am buying all into him. I think this guy knows what he's talking about. But I agree, Zoo. I think the biggest thing is the Bulls needed a defensive anchor on the wing who can guard 1 through 4.
Someone to help Wendell Carter. Like
exactly.
Last year, it was
He's
disaster,
the only decent
man.
defender.
Yeah, last year was a disaster. It was like him and Chris Dunn out there, the only guys playing defense. Chris Dunn obviously got bye-bye. We don't need you anymore because you can't shoot the three-pointer. So he's gone. So they need to add some defense because, Kobe White, Zach LaVine. The sweet life of Zach and Kobe don't play defense, man. They're all about getting buckets right now, man. They're about getting buckets, which is their job to do. But we need to get some defense if we want. But we'll make playoffs this year, definitely, with the playing game. All you got to be is the 10th seed. You got to be the 10th seed and we're in, man. And all you have to do is win 2 games to get into the playoffs. So Bulls should. If they don't make playoffs, like you heard Arturis, man. We ain't drafting this high ever again.
No, exactly.
We ain't drafting this high
again. Statement.
Great quote.
Yeah,
great quote.
I believe in him, but it'll be interesting to see who becomes like a star first, Zoo. Who do you think is going to take like that next step, maybe hit the all-star level, potential all-star quicker than anyone else in this draft?
I think Anthony Edwards immediately could drop 18 points immediately, because like people say like he likes football, whatever. I don't care. I see the talent. This guy sick. They say this guy he like grew an inch over quarantine, man. He added like 5 pounds of muscle. That's what they say. Like this guy's keep growing. He's still a kid. He's built like dude. That dude's built. His jump shot looks nice. He's got handles. He shoots from all 3 areas, like point, mid-range game, from floater game. Like this guy has every asset to launch a career right now. And for me, it's a no-brainer. For when he was drafted by the Timberwolves, great pick. He even fits perfectly as the combo score along with D'Lo playing point, Cat at the center position. So he was like best player available and best fit. So I think Anthony Edwards immediately will make the biggest impact in the league.
I think his biggest his biggest aspect that a lot of people overshadow is just his defensive ability. I mean, the guy plays the passing lanes beautifully. I think this guy is going to be one of the better two-way players in the league, possibly in the next 5 years or so. But too, I totally agree with you. The only thing it'll come down to is whether or not D'Lo actually wants to pass in the ball. I think that's going to be the issue. Where Cat's a black hole down there in the post, man. It'll be interesting because I'm just hoping he doesn't turn into a Wiggins type talent down there. Wiggins didn't really work out. They had a little bit of similar playing styles. When you think about it, I'd say Edwards has a little bit more of a pure jump shot, at least visually, than Wiggins did. But they're both extremely explosive guys. I think this is exactly what the Timberwolves needed. They need a fresh start, fresh guy. He's got a great attitude. I see him as probably the most mature player in the draft, at least in the lottery at this point. But it's tough, dude, because LaMelo could also turn into a star. It's just people haven't seen him play as much because he played overseas versus Edwards playing down in the SEC. So that was one thing that a lot of owners said too, is it was hard to find, solid gameplay of a lot of these freshmen that came into the draft because, their season got cut short because of COVID. So half the time they were actually going back to high school tape, which is what you said, Zoo. Patrick Williams being only 6 foot at the time playing point guard. It'll be interesting, but look, I think Edwards will end up probably taking the step quickest. But just because Weissman will kind of be in the shadow of, 3 possible Hall of Famers, obviously rip to Klay Thompson. Hope he gets better soon. Very sad. I may have career.
His all-star career might be over. Like Achilles, ACL, and then Achilles.
Pretty brutal, man. I may have to say goodbye to my Warriors pick, taking out the Lakers this coming year. But look, I think Weissman, that was a great pick for them, but I don't see him being a star anytime soon. So I really think at this point, obviously, like we said, Patrick Williams could be a bit of a project. I think it'll really come down to LaMelo and Anthony Edwards of who's going to be taking that next step first.
Yeah, I definitely can see LaMelo being an instant star. That's just because I think he's just going to get the ball and go. Even though I am interested to see who Charlotte may deal because they have Rozier and Graham was really good last year.
Yeah,
get rid of Terry Rozier. That was such a bad trade when they did the signing trade for Townley from Kemba Walker to Terry Rozier. Terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I think that was just more because Kemba was going to leave anyway, so they had to get rid of him. But I think a guy that I really liked that I didn't really find out till maybe like 2 days ago because I was just like looking at like some guys in like big boards and stuff. The Tyrell Terry guy that went to the Mavericks, I think he's going to be really good. I don't know if you guys have watched this like tape. He shot like 42% from three. He's going to be opposite of Luka. I think that was why they traded
Stanford guy, right?
Mavericks made some moves.
He's a Stanford kid. Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of small, but like his shot looks. I'm not saying he's Trae because Trae may be a little bit more shiftier, but how his shot, it just looks so like he can make any move off the dribble, layups, and he can pass pretty well. Like he might end up being like, I honestly thought he was going to go to the Celtics because I think the Celtics had like 2 picks within the last I think 25 to 30. But he ended up going to the Mavericks, and I was like, that's going to be nice, like opposite of Luka, because they need another guy that can like handle the ball. So I think that was a really good pick and a sleeper guy that might be able to come through. But
he'll step in for Seth too. Seth's gone now. Seth Curry down in Dallas. He's out. So
big trade.
I think that's why they traded him.
Daryl Morey making moves.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Dude, man, that should be the biggest one. I forgot about Daryl Morey. He dumped Al Horford's massive contract.
Crazy.
Thank God.
And then he got Seth Curry to pair up shooters for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
That dude made an impact after 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks on the job. Incredible trade.
That's what he does. That's what Daryl does, man. He's a mastermind. I gotta give him his credit. But transitioning, there's a lot. Speaking of GMs that can do it good, and then some GMs that just can't do a good job at all. There was a lot of picks that I thought were questionable in the draft. I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna let the guys go ahead and go into who they think had the most questionable draft. And Zoo, go ahead and take this one away.
Okay, this is just me hating on the franchise. Like, it's nothing against the player, but I feel like him getting drafted at this location, a dump, is going to ruin this man's career, even though I think he has upside. His name is Isaac Okoro, man. He should be sad. He should have been crying the minute he got drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. I saw Obi Toppin was crying tears of joy. He should have been crying tears of sadness, man. The Cleveland Cavaliers have some of the worst player development in the history of basketball, man. Colin Sexton, where have you heard of that, man, on mainstream television? Never. Darius Garland, people say he's the next Damian Dollar. Nah, he ain't nothing, man. He's just a zero. He's a dime right now. He's a penny. He ain't no dollar. You kidding me? Dude, I'm just sorry. Just the Cleveland Cavaliers organization is just drafting all these young bloods. And who's their coach? Man, that Jim Beeline guy just like quit because he was having trouble like coaching these young kids right now.
Yeah.
So they're building their young core or whatever. They got some players that they drafted in the lottery, I guess. Isaac Curl, this guy's pretty similar to my man Patrick. Like they're both athletic guys, plays defense, but that's all going to be in player development, right? Player development is going to key hiring the right guys, having like good shooting coaches. So pretty much having a coaching staff that's going to work with these young kids on developing their game. And I feel like Isaac Curl is like be like, man, Cleveland sucks. Like Cleveland sucks. Everything about Cleveland just sucks. Dan Gilbert sucks. Just come on, man. Like, this is such an embarrassing franchise, man.
Vacation in Cleveland, man.
Yeah, who wants to go on vacation in Cleveland? This man's got to live in Cleveland now. Isaac Curl, that man, I'm sorry. I feel bad for Isaac Curl. It's a sad franchise. So I'm not hating on the guy. I'm hating on the franchise.
I feel that too. I felt bad for him, and you know what? That man spent at least $60,000 on a new Range Rover for his parents. If you didn't see that video after. And that money's be going down the drain because who knows where his career is going in Cleveland. But look, he's a good player, and I agree with you, Zoo, but it seems that the Cavaliers, besides LeBron James, just always seem to waste talent, man. And it'll be interesting to see where he goes because he's a solid two-way player. Like you said, Zoo, could be a Patrick Williams type player. They're very similarly compared. I would have been happy if the Bulls took Isaac Okoro. At the same time, I would say him and Patrick Williams are probably two of the most comparable players in the draft. And they obviously went back-to-back at 4 or 5. But I'm going to go with the number 10 pick, man, a team that has been making moves. The Phoenix Suns picking Jalen Smith, man? Are you kidding me? This guy's 6'10". Yeah, he's got a nice jumper, but he is projected to play behind DeAndre Ayton. This team gave up all of their wing talent to get Chris Paul for a couple of years, maybe. And they decided to draft a 6'10", 6'11" guy to go behind a 20-10 starter in DeAndre Ayton. What are you doing? Tyrese Halliburton was there. They had Devin Vassell, who the Spurs take. The Spurs know what they're doing when they're drafting. They know exactly. They pick guys that are a good fit at the same time, but they also need a little work. So they don't have to invest that much team development. this Suns team, they seem to just mess up every draft, man. I don't know if I don't think they're as bad as the Cavaliers, but they've made some pretty iffy picks. I can't hate on the DeAndre Ayton pick just because I don't think everyone knew how good Luka was going to be. And look, DeAndre Ayton put 20 and 10 last year.
Yeah.
That's still pretty damn good. But look, they've botched a lot of drafts in the past. Obviously, Devin Booker, they have CP3 there now. All they had to do was draft a solid 3-and-D guy to play the small forward position, and they would have a legitimately solid team. I don't think that adding, a Vassell or whatever would, who's also an FSU guy, Zoo, coming out with Patrick Williams, his teammate. I don't think that would have put them over the top. They're in a stacked conference. I'm not saying that. But look, you gave a lot away to get Chris Paul for maybe a couple years.
2 years.
You have
Chris Paul got like 2 great years.
A couple of years, 2 years. You have to prepare for once he leaves. Tyrese Halliburton would have been a great pick to learn under Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. He can play a combo guard. You could move Devin Booker to the 3. He's 6'5". He's not a great defender, but he can play small ball. And you could develop your future point guard to play alongside Booker and Ayton. I don't know what they were doing. Jalen Smith, not saying anything against him. He's a solid player. He's arguably one of the better shooting big men in the draft. He's got a sweet jumper. He can play defense. But if they're going to end up trying to start him and DeAndre Ayton at the same time, oh my God, man. And if you start 2 6'11", 7-footers at the same time in this day and age, you want to know what his number one weakness was, Zoo? Jalen Smith? Perimeter defense. That's his number one weakness. And if you're going to try and put him at the 4, good luck, man. They're not going to be doing anything. They need to rotate him and Ayton out, and I don't think that's worth a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah, this guy's player comparison was Taj Gibson.
Mm-hmm. Who just got released, by the way.
Gibson, but man, as a top 10 pick, I don't want no Taj Gibson on my team for the 10th overall. Especially Phoenix Suns right now. They have an opportunity to go all in with CP3 right now.
All right.
Yes,
relax.
I am on the Suns
in the West.
Yeah, with the Golden State Warriors without Klay Thompson, that is one team I'm putting them out of the playoffs potentially. They're going to be fighting
Wiggins.
They're not going to miss the playoffs.
They won't miss the playoffs.
They won't miss it with the new tournament, the play-in tournament. But I'm not putting them in as a 6 seed. I'm not putting them as a 6 seed anymore.
Andy, you're too hype on the Suns, man.
No, I'm not. If CP3 stays healthy, that's a big F because those quads. Yeah, there's some tender quads. But if he stays healthy, automatically
they have a shot.
They're a lock. They're a lock.
For top 8 or play-in?
I think for top 6. They're a lock for a top 6. Yes. So they will not have to be in the play-in tournament. They'll be a lock for the playoffs. So
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
they're not that deep, man. They had to give up way too much.
You know my thoughts about being a deep team, man. Give me stars all day, man. Give me stars and I'll win.
The Lakers are one of the deepest teams in the league.
Stop it, man. You take LeBron off that team, that's one of the worst teams in basketball, man. Are you kidding me? One of the deepest teams, dude.
No, I'm not saying take LeBron off. I'm saying you need stars. And you need a bench. That's the only way you actually win.
Dude, Alex Caruso was playing point guard, man. I'm sorry,
and he's a great defender.
Oh, Alex,
he is.
Dude, do you know what this is called? The Matthew Dellavedova effect.
Oh my God. All right, what about Rondo? What about Rondo?
He's better.
Rondo's good, but Caruso, man, stop it, man. He's irrelevant, man. He's just happy he gets to play with LeBron James, and he's going to get an extra contract because of that, man. Good for Caruso, but he ain't that good.
LeBron too hard, man.
No. These players should be riding LeBron because, man, he getting them paid, man.
They are riding LeBron.
He's gonna get Rondo paid, man. He's gonna
get Rondo. Doesn't need to get paid. He doesn't care. He just won another championship, man.
Dude, you see the rumors? He might go to Atlanta because might give him a good contract. You know why? Because he played with LeBron and won a championship.
No, because he wants. Yeah, exactly. And he wants to go to the East where he can actually, attempt to fight for a title. It'll be fun. He's playing with Trae Young.
The title with the Hawks?
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Dude, look, but there were a lot of rough picks. I wouldn't say this is a very strong draft class outside of, like you said, Sean, earlier, kind of a top 3 chalk. But it was really up in the air. I think a lot of teams kind of had to take a risk. But I thought it was interesting, Zoo, if you watched Arturas's, the Bulls GM, his post game when they asked him about how hard it was to pick at the 4th spot, and he's like, I've never picked this early. you have to like 4 guys when you're at the 4th spot, right? But if you're at 20, you got to like 20 guys.
That's hard.
Because
That's
who
hard,
knows
man.
and that's really hard to do. So sometimes I can't blame GMs for, making a rough pick because, they think their team is well. But the Suns, man, you already have a stud 7-footer. You need a wing defender. What the hell are you doing drafting a 6'11" guy? I don't get it. It doesn't even fit in this day and age in the NBA. It does not fit your team, and he's raw. I don't understand that pick. I think it's the worst pick in the draft.
Worst pick in the draft?
Yeah.
Worst pick in the draft.
Yeah,
No question.
I think it is too. Because with the Suns, I feel like if they would have got Tyrese Halliburton, that could have been the perfect marriage of like, okay, you got Chris Paul, he's going to be here for another 2 years. And then like, you could be, I guess, bringing Halliburton along. And then once like CP3 is off the team, you got Halliburton and Booker. Like, that's nice.
With Ayton.
In the back.
And you have
that's
a great rim protector.
That's nice. Yeah. I still think for me is the Celtics, they took Peyton Pritchard like towards the end of the draft. And I think he's the guy, like the shooter.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't take Tyrell Terry. Like Tyrell Terry to me is like a stud. And I think with the Celtics especially, he would have been even nicer because then you got Tatum going into his contract. You got Jalen locked down. You got the 2 wings. He could have been a guy because I don't know if they're too high on Kemba. Like I think they said he had a couple of knee issues. Like they probably could have got off Kemba, had a young guy come in, shoot the lights out, because Tatum's probably getting double. Jalen's getting a couple guys on him. Like I think that could have been a really good pick for the Celtics. But I mean, him being with the Mavericks, I think that I'm not gonna say the Mavericks are gonna like win the championship, but I think if Tyrell Terry
loading up,
be a stud,
they're loading up.
They might be in the conference finals. Like they might be there because like Luka's just gonna keep getting better, and the guys off of him, he's got playing like and Porzingis is health too. He has to be healthy, but the Celtics or not Celtics, but the Mavericks, man, they're making a lot of freaking noise.
There's a lot of teams that are gunning for it, man. There's a lot of teams that are trying to make moves, whether it's draft or trade.
The West is going to be like, honestly, think about who's a bad team in the West.
The Kings.
Honestly, a bad team.
And they're still up and coming. They're up and coming. I like De'Aaron Fox a lot.
Team. Yeah, there's no bad team. It's just like there's teams that are not going to won't make the playoffs, but in 2 years they could. 2 years. I don't know.
That's like the Pelicans. You got Zion Williamson,
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. You got 3 young studs rising right now. So everyone in the West is rising because they get these high draft picks and they don't mess it up like teams in the East.
Yeah, that's true. But speaking of altering teams in the East and West and trades and things like that, last topic of the night, we're going to talk about the biggest trade so far. I think one of the potential biggest trades could have been with the Milwaukee Bucks, but I think it's Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yeah,
his trade kind of got altered a little bit. He was like, "Nah, I ain't going there. I'm gonna take my talents with restricted free agency." But I wanted to ask the guys who they think is the biggest trade so far. And Zoo, go ahead and end it for us.
Jrue Holiday, man, that trade by the Bucks, I like it a lot. They gave up a lot though. Draft compensation, man.
Gave up a lot.
3 first-round picks, 2 pick swap. So pretty much the next 5 years, that pick pretty much doesn't belong to you, depending on how bad your team is. So you're loading up right now. They gave up Eric Bledsoe. That dude sucks in the playoffs. They got rid of that garbage contract. I don't know why they paid that $15 million a year. They were so happy to get rid of Bledsoe. Like when they signed Bledsoe, they were hoping he was Jrue Holiday. That's why they
exactly
player. Hit bull on defense, but on offense, a tragedy, man. A tragedy. And they got rid of George Hill, backup point guard, making almost $10 million. So pretty much they lost no players. They gave up those draft compensation to get Jrue Holiday, even though Jrue Holiday, I think, only got 2 years left. So it's a short-term deal. So pretty much him and Giannis better get along, man. Because if you got to convince Giannis to stay. So if Giannis signs the Supermax, great trade. You got your – yeah, I like Jrue Holiday more than Chris Middleton. I think he's a better basketball player, especially now in the East. Yes, Jrue Holiday is better than Chris Middleton.
Overall, I agree with you. Offensively, it's iffy.
Dude, do you know what people say, man? Dame Dollar, Kevin Durant saying Jrue Holiday is the most underrated basketball player. He plays defense.
Defensive. They said defensive, not offensive. They said he's the best
20
defensive.
Points.
He's the best defensive guard. They didn't say he was great at offense. Don't go there. He can put you 20 a game, but he can't shoot the 3. Let's be honest. He can't shoot the 3. That's the only thing that they lost out on from Bledsoe. I would say every other aspect of the game at point guard.
Eric Bledsoe can't shoot threes.
he could shoot better than Drew Holiday. That's for sure.
Drew Holiday's
They're both
35%.
not that great. They're both not that great.
35%. That's average. 35% is
Okay,
average.
that's fine. But I'm saying, Zoo, I agree. It's the number one trade this year so far. I think that they upgraded in every single way, especially defensively, and he'll fit perfectly in the number one defensive team with the Milwaukee Bucks, man. I think they needed a guy who's not going to be opening up the red carpet like Bledsoe did half the time down the lane. I think that this Holiday trade, obviously, as you said, Zoo, they're trying to entice Giannis hard. They were trying even harder with Bogue, trying to get Bogdan in there. Maybe they'll make an offer in the restricted free agency. It's very possible, but I don't know if they have the cash at this moment. If they're trying to eventually sign Giannis, they'd probably have to move some other people around. The only thing that I still think the team is missing a bit is the 3-point shot. I think that that's really where they're missing a key player. I would have loved for them to trade for Seth Curry. I think that would have been a great trade for the Milwaukee Bucks to make. But hey, Daryl Morey's taken over on those trades. I think there were a lot of very minute trades that a lot of people might overlook that went down, with number one being Seth Curry. I still got to also shout out the Phoenix Suns for somehow pulling off that CP3 trade. I still think that's, in the Western Conference side. But I think that, the Bucks, they just know that they had to make moves right now because they are in the East. First of all, they have a legitimate shot. I think that in order to keep Giannis, they have to make the finals this year. If they don't win the finals, I still think he'll contemplate more so than if they're knocked out in the semis like they were this year. But granted, weird season. This was a weird past season. Obviously with COVID and all. New season starting in just over a month now, a little over 4 weeks from now.
Coming up fast.
It's coming up real hot, man. I hope players have had a chance to rest, and we'll see how all these rookies end up doing that. Will have 4 to 5 weeks to prepare for their first game. But I think that the Bucks had to make some moves, man, just to try and entice Giannis to stay in a small market. It'll be tough, but they're really going to have to make a run. But then again, they're in the East.
Yeah. Then speaking of the East, man, Daryl Morey.
Woo!
I got this guy major props, man, because the first thing he does is clean up the mess by the previous administration, right? They're making new moves, giving Big Al pretty much he gave him a max contract, 4 years, over $100 million to a power forward center that's past his prime, man. Celtics knew what they were doing, man. So pretty much the first thing he does, okay, we're going to send you Al Horford. We're going to give you a pick in 2025. That's like 5 years down the line. Who cares? We're about winning now. We got Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. You got to maximize their career right now and go for a championship, because you got the two pillars for your team right now. Because obviously they messed up situation with Jimmy Butler. You could have had a real big three, but now it's only a big two. Tobias Harris, that guy ain't no part of no big three, man. Tobias Harris is average, man. Tobias Harris is average. So pretty much now, going all in, what do they need? Shooting. So first thing they do, they dump out Horford. They get Danny Green. I'm not the biggest Danny Green fan. He's an expiring contract, so it's only a 1 year deal, and he can still be respectable. Like, even though he might miss every three, they can't leave him open. So pretty much, you got
12 points a game.
Yeah, you just put that guy in the corner and please be respectable, and that's all he has to do. And he's a good defender. Like, give him that. He is a good defender. Player. Good defensive player, and he's a respectable 3-point shooter. So you add him in the lineup. Next, what they do, man, they drop Josh Richardson and a second-round pick to get Seth Curry, who's having the highest 3-point percentage in the league. Like, him and his brother, man. Jesus
I'm surprised
Christ,
they gave him up, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know the draft helped the Mavs, but still.
Yeah. So, like, they go Seth Curry, one of the purest shooters in the league. His jump shot is so pretty, just like his brother. So you're adding in another guy with high basketball IQ, pairing with the big studs, man. So they got 2 3-point shooters that they didn't have. So pretty much they're loading up on these shooters. They're hoping Tobias Harris progresses with Todd Rivers as the coach, but I don't know about that. But it is smart, because ever since they let JJ Redick go, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid has been less effective without that guy that's a sniper. And now they added a true sniper in Seth Curry. They had a decent shooter in Danny Green and a good defender. Daryl Morey's getting it done. And the Mavericks, man. I like what the Mavericks did.
Yeah.
Like, getting Josh Richardson, he's a good defensive player, which they need as a wing. You're playing against the West, so you need guys that can guard like the LeBrons and the Kawhi Leonards. Good defensive player. Yeah, and they're just hoping Luka Doncic be like, Luka's gonna make that dude a better 3-point shooter, because he's gonna be wide open.
Give him wide open looks.
Yeah,
Look,
so I liked it for both teams.
I agree. I think the Sixers are making, as I just mentioned, some of these minute trades, which money wise are huge, but may fly over a lot of non-everyday fans of the NBA, right? Moving Al Horford, getting Seth Curry, all that. I think the Sixers, a lot of the time, and I think you and I talked about this on a couple podcasts ago, but everybody just knew to clog the lane against the Sixers, man. That was the easy way to stop their offense. And now you have to respect the drive and kick. With Seth Curry there, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I also got a shout out if the Knicks can pull off a trade for Gordon Hayward. I think that will be a big move for them because they have a point guard. I'm not kidding.
Hayward?
You didn't hear about that?
Dude, I
didn't hear about that?
He was about to make $30+ million. He opted out, and I was like, God damn, he must be thinking he's going to get a multi-year contract with another team.
You know who's going to give it to him? The New York Knicks will. And you know why?
No,
honestly,
no.
First of all, they have the money to spend. They're not going to get Giannis. That's not a possibility. They already lost out. They're not going to get Kevin Durant. They need a little bit of a veteran presence, and they have no wings. So they have a point guard. They now have a decent, explosive big man. They just need a defensive 3-and-D guy to come in there, and he'll have a bigger role. We didn't see his full potential with the Celtics because he was like the fourth option.
Gordon Hayward is overrated, man.
Oh my God.
The minute that man signed
he can play
$30 million.
Who plays defense on the Knicks? They're not going to give him 30.
He plays defense. I'm not paying the man $30 million. $30 million?
The Knicks will.
They will forever regret
Andy,
that.
It's not like why the Knicks. It's not like the Knicks are going to win a championship in the next 2 years.
Might as well just go for Russell Westbrook, then, man. If you're going like that,
no, I'd rather have Gordon than Westbrook.
Oh, stop,
no way,
man.
Dude. Westbrook.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not paying.
If you don't want to win a title because you ain't winning with Gordon Hayward as your best player.
No, Andy, they're not trying to win now. They don't have that ability. Russell Westbrook would only be there for his typical, let me give you a triple-double a game. That's not Gordon Hayward's style. Gordon Hayward will come in. He will mentor these young guys. They probably will not give him a max contract. If they do, then
That's
completely retract my statement. I completely retract my statement if they give him a max contract. But if they give him less than Otto Porter, $20 million a year, I think that it may be worth him to bring him in for 3 years even, just to help build the repertoire of the team. Maybe bring in that could draw other talent. You never know.
Gordon Hayward ain't drawing nobody. Nobody wants to play with Gordon Hayward.
But he could make that team better, and then they may draw. It's the East, man. It's very wide open at this point, besides the Bucks.
It's wide open.
And the Heat.
Gordon Hayward, that dude's a Band-Aid, man.
I'm surprised the Heat didn't make a trade. I'm surprised the Heat? Yeah, I'm surprised they weren't making moves.
They're waiting for the summer Giannis.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They're hoping. They're like, Drew Holiday, please get injured.
They're keeping their dry powder, man, to have those assets like Giannis for like a sign and trade or something.
Yeah, Pat Riley's holding
I'm sorry. I hear you guys, and I know that the Bucks had to do whatever they had to do to keep or try to convince Giannis to stay. But for me, man, if you look at the details of that Drew Holiday trade, it's damn near similar to what Anthony.
No. Don't go there, Sean. Don't go there, Sean. The draft. Wait.
Similar.
No. The draft compensation was the same. So three firsts and 2 pick swaps
for Drew Holiday.
Wait. They were able to dump Eric Bledsoe.
That was huge. They needed to get rid of him.
That dude was cancerous contract, man. They paid that man $70 million to suck it up in the playoffs again, man. Nobody was going to take that contract. It was the ability to dump that contract. Wow, the Pelicans got good young assets and Brandon Ingram, who's an asset. Josh Hart, he's whatever. Lonzo Ball, he's whatever. But Brandon Ingram was the asset. They didn't get a single player back that was good. George Hill?
So it really comes down to you would rather give up 3 first-round picks to get rid of Eric Bledsoe's contract.
No, and you're getting Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday
is dumping the contract. Getting Drew Holiday is worth 3 first-round picks in my books.
To me, I don't understand the philosophy, and I know you got to get talent, and it's kind of hard in Milwaukee because nobody probably wants to come there. But to me, I just don't understand the logic of because I feel like David Griffin punked him in that deal. I would, if he tells me, hey, I'll give you Drew for 3 first-rounders and I'll be like, look, I'll try to find another trade. I can't give up 3 because Drew's 30.
Yeah.
He's not young either.
They're a win now.
They're a win now. They need a consistent player, and Drew is arguably one of the most consistent point guards in the league. He plays both ways. He's an unbelievable teammate. He's the longest tenured Pelican, longer than Anthony Davis at that point.
Yeah.
Right? He's willing to stick with a shitty team. I give him a lot of credit for that. Everyone loves playing with him, which is why I think that was a big fit, because he can give you 20 a game, but he doesn't demand the ball, which means Giannis is still the guy on that team. Whereas I feel like Bledsoe wanted to be that guy at some point, and Giannis was just not letting that happen, and that pissed Bledsoe off, and he just took it horribly. And I don't know. I think Drew's a better fit. He's a great defender, which fits the Bucks mentality. I think he's just a Milwaukee Buck, and it just so happened that they were willing to give up whatever because they see the opportunity in the East right now.
Yeah, they got to go for it, man. Because I don't know, like, especially right now, the East is always wide open. You got Giannis, technically best player in the East, but I don't know about that. Like, KD's coming back, so no longer the best player in the East.
It's probably KD. Yeah,
well, but they got to strike now, because the Brooklyn Nets are only going to get better with more chemistry.
Well,
so this is the year, like, you got to beat them.
And look, like, they gave up a lot of their draft picks for the future, but they were making that trade because they knew they were going to lose out on their future if they didn't, by losing Giannis. So it's like, either way, you're going to be starting from scratch, right? At some point, they just elongated that for a couple more years, and hoping that in the next 2 to 3, if they even, maybe give Drew Holiday another 1-year contract. You said Zoo, he's got 2 left, I think, at this point.
If they could get player option though,
they could get a solid year out of him this year, make the finals, win or lose, I think Giannis may stay. He might do a LeBron type of deal with maybe a 2-year deal with an opt-out clause, and then maybe he'll leave. But I think the Bucks are just all in, knowing that in the next couple of years, either way, we're going to be starting from scratch. Let's just go for it right now.
Yeah, but I like the ballsy move, man.
It's a very ballsy move.
They need to get a guy to pair up with Giannis, especially at the guard position, who could dominate the ball in the playoffs and be able to create his own shot. So
and Chris can just snipe in the corner and get a little 3-and-D. He's like the Luol Deng of the team now. It's pretty much what he is.
Perfect. Yeah, I could see Chris
18 a game.
being more of a spot up. Yeah, he could definitely be a spot up guy with Drew being there. I think I'm just more high on Bogdanovic. I think he's a better player.
They need to get
if they're able to get him. Yeah, if they can somehow get him, I'll be more confident. Yeah.
I agree, because they need his 3-point. I mean, he's a 38% three-point shooter, giving you 15 a game, man. That'd be a great combo with Brook Lopez. We're forgetting Brook Lopez too, who had a couple
insane games there for a while for the Bucks. He can still play. He can stretch the floor. He's arguably
stretch five.
Him and Jokic are the 2 best shooting big men in the league. And unless I'm leaving someone else out, maybe Anthony Davis, obviously, but Brook Lopez, I think of all people, he developed his game the best over the years for the big man position, earlier than anyone would have thought. And I don't give him enough props.
Become Splash Mountain for a reason, man.
Exactly.
Splash, man. What a great nickname.
Yeah. As you guys can see, this is a lot of NBA talk that we went into, especially the draft. It's one of my favorite times of the year because it's a short, concise draft, unlike the NFL draft. Stuff you can get into, a lot of players. I think next year's draft with the NBA, and I'm not trying to say I'm already looking at it, but just hearing the guys for a lot of the programming that I watched, they're saying 2021 is going to be a really good draft. So I'm interested to see who the people, like the top teams, are going to be in that draft. And, we didn't get to talk any NFL, but I'm pretty sure coming up in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some NFL topics coming up. And, I mean, to be honest, it's going to be NBA too, because I think a couple free agents probably going to be getting shipped around or signing, and a couple trades going to happen. So you guys need to stay tuned for more NFL and NBA topics. And I wanted to say follow the Instagram page, bullheaded_pod. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at bullheaded. Put a lot of great content up all the time, making sure I get a lot of, try to different type of things with NFL and NBA. But as always, Zoo, Peebush, Sean, signing out.